Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Jay, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm an intuitive channeler, energetic alchemist, and ascension master. I help awaken souls with big dreams and big missions to remember who they are, to remember why they incarnated at this time, and to remember their soul's purpose, their soul's journey, their power to create their life of highest timeline of abundance, joy, love, connection. And that's why we came. We came here with very powerful missions, and we've simply forgotten who we are. And so, through my own journey of ascension and awakening, I've now been taught through channeling higher perspective source frequencies. I've been given the gift of being able to receive activation codes and to receive ancient wisdom and frequencies to help others ignite and remember their soul's purpose. And the more of us that awaken and ascend to higher heights and remember who we are, remember the depths of our beings as extremely powerful, multidimensional beings and creators, the more that we are all plugging into this same system of these energetic grids that are running across the earth as we are connected to the earth. We are anchoring these higher frequencies onto the earth and therefore helping the earth to move and evolve into new earth frequencies. And we are moving into that age, and we are helping the ignition of that age, of the golden era. And in order to do this, we need to have our own awakening. We need to have the epiphanies, the realizations, the lessons, the remembrance, all of that comes through us and comes through our consciousness and our perception, and our body, our physical body, is what's anchoring that into the earth. And that's what I'm helping other big dreamers to achieve, to fully step fearlessly into our highest timelines on this planet. It's why we came. We are extremely powerful, and I am here to help you remember that. And so that brings me on to today's topic. And thank you for being here and listening to these channeled messages. I'm always deeply honored and so elated to be able to be a clear channel for higher perspective. It's a feeling that can't be described when these messages run through me and when these codes are received. So as you're listening, you're also receiving the codes and you're receiving the frequencies behind this message. Words are simply a made-up human language to translate and convey energy. And so as this energy is coming through in my words, you are receiving that energy. So if you would like to receive the frequencies and the codes from these messages, you can simply affirm that to yourself and say yes. Everything's always a choice. And so that leads me on to today's topic of the power of intuitive health. And I was guided to sit down and share this message. So I actually received a channeled message yesterday whilst I was in an acupuncture session. And so I was guided to share that, plus get into the zone to receive whatever else evolves and elaborates around that. So to set the scene or give this message and these lessons some context, a few days ago, I started experiencing extreme abdominal pain, and my body was telling me that my liver and my gallbladder really need some help, and my stomach was weak and was struggling. And it had been ground down. I could see that I'd been wearing it down by not making the healthiest choices for myself. And so first of all, let's talk about the importance of acting upon the smallest of symptoms when they arise, and listening to our body at all times, because what we tend to do is ignore the small symptoms, ignore the minor inconveniences and discomforts, because we're creatures of comfort, and we don't want to disrupt our usual habits and patterns. We don't want to disrupt the foods that we love. We don't want to change our exercise, our diets, our routines, our habits, because we are in our routine, and we're set in our ways, and we're not built to readily embody change in every aspect when we are in our safety zone and our comfort zone. And so this is exactly what happened to me. I was in Bali over a month ago now. And on the last week that I was leaving, I started experiencing some symptoms, and my body told me that I had picked up a parasite. That would have been the time to act immediately, of course. But I was about to leave the country and have my birthday adventure week in South Africa. And then I was coming back home to England to visit my family after 3 years. And there were belated celebrations. And so, the discomfort and the inconvenience was minor. And so I knew it's okay. I'll do the cleanse once I get home. That's fine. 4 weeks later now, because I had ignored those subtle inconveniences and those small symptoms initially, my body, of course, started screaming at me to get my attention. And when I finally stopped to listen, it was when I was able to receive all these different components of what was needed to change in my life at this moment, across body, mind, and spirit and soul. And that's what I've been guided to share with you. And I know that this will be relevant to so many, because every single person on the planet has health issues at some point, because that's what our vessel is there for. Our vessel is trying to communicate with us. And as part of that communication, it talks to us through various symptoms. It's a form of communication. But we've been programmed to think symptom equals bad. We don't welcome the symptoms as a form of communication. We welcome them as warning signs, because we've been so deeply programmed to panic at the first sight of any symptom. And we're also programmed to expect perfect health is the norm at all times. But that is not. That's the same as saying that we are only happy and elated 24/7 and there's no variance. Just as our emotions vary, and they are supposed to, our health, in terms of how our body is talking to us, is a reflection of that. So it also has to vary. But we are not programmed to believe that that's okay or that it's safe. And with a simple shift in our perspective to embrace and welcome symptoms when they first arise, of course, without ignoring them and allowing them to escalate, but as a form of communication, now we can be much more harmonized with our body, our surroundings, our environment, our mind, our spirit, our energetic bodies, and our energetic field. And so let's talk a little bit about this. So let's take a look at some of those components and discuss these here. And I'm going to preface by saying, just a medical disclaimer, I'm not a medical professional, and everything that comes through in these channeled messages is part of a holistic approach of understanding health. And if you ever have any serious medical concerns, seek medical help with whatever is the best way for you. So I don't endorse any form of medical healing or therapies. I embrace holistic approaches always. And whatever's right for one body is not necessarily right for another body. So we always have to listen to our own bodies, and we have to seek whatever is right for us when it comes to help and healing. And so for me, when I tuned into this abdominal pain that I was experiencing, there are, of course, many different ways and different roads that I could have gone down with that. But I listened to my body, and I was given a list of foods that my body wanted, supplements that it wanted me to go and get, changes in posture and exercise and stretching, and energy flow through the body. I was guided to seek out an acupuncturist, a medical intuitive, and a shamanic body work healer, to be able to have the physical realignment, a physical touch with the body that it was needing around the liver point. So let's talk about some of these components that came through that we are guided to consider when understanding the depth of the significance of our health and understanding intuitive health. So what I was receiving yesterday during my acupuncture session was that the key to balanced and optimal health is working together with our physical vessel. So imagine a car, and imagine driving a car without understanding its features. So you don't know how to change gears properly if you've got a manual car with a gear stick. You don't understand when to add more fuel. You've had no lessons on how the car works. You don't understand when the car needs air in the tires. You don't understand the warning signals. If a light comes on the dashboard, you don't know what that means. It's going to be very difficult to drive that car if you have no understanding of the car and how to talk to it and how to understand what it needs, as well as what you need as being the driver of the car. And this is what most of us are doing with our bodies. So our vessel is our way of physically existing in the third dimension, in this life, on this planet. We chose to incarnate onto Earth, and we agreed to merge with Mother Gaia to be a part of her expansion and evolution as with ours. We are connected. We are merged with the Earth, and we are one. If the Earth suffers, we suffer. If Mother Gaia's heart skips a beat, our heart skips a beat. If she thrives, we thrive. Whilst we are physically existing on this Earth, we are the Earth. And so illusion number one is that we perceive ourselves to be separate from the Earth. Illusion number two is that we perceive ourselves to be separate from our body. So we accept that we have a soul, and in the acceptance of that, knowing that we are a soul and we are more than the physical body, we get thrown off kilter slightly, because spiritual teachings tell us we're not the body, we're not the mind, but that throws us in the other direction, which is, oh, I'm not my body, I'm a soul in a physical vessel, in a body. But we're not necessarily understanding or perceiving that we are the body. We actually are the body, we are the mind, we're everything. So that throws us slightly in the opposite direction, and there's actually a sweet spot between the two. So we're not just this physical body where when we die, where worm food lights out, that's it, we're done. We know and we accept that we are consciousness, and consciousness is all there is, but we are physically existing in this vessel. We chose this vessel, and we are the cells, we are our cells, we are our physical body, because we are everything. And whilst we are existing on the physical plane on Earth, the only way we're able to be here on this planet is by being an extension of Mother Earth, and the body is an extension of Mother Earth. It's part of the Earth, so we are the Earth, we are our body. So there's this sweet spot in between to understand, oh, this vessel is a part of me, I've chosen it, it's my creation, and therefore my ability to exist in the physical. And so some cooperative components that we're guided to consider when our health is giving us warning signs. The first one is, where is our mind at this point in time? And this is what many of us are, we're quite good at this. We are able to say and link our symptoms to some degree with what's going on in our life at the time, because, for example, we could have a big presentation coming up, or a public speech, or something that's worrying us, and we know that we hold anxiety in our stomach, and so the few nights before this big presentation, we start to feel it in our stomach, and we know that that's linked for us. So we are pretty good at understanding that whatever's going on in our mind right now is affecting our body. But what is the theme for us at this time? There's a deeper level to this that we can go much further into. What are we worried or sad or angry about or hurt about? Because this is going to physically manifest in the body, and it may be things that we don't necessarily link. So we might not necessarily link that we've just caught a common cold, and we've just been starting to worry about money, or starting to feel sad about a soulmate connection and the lack of. We don't necessarily link everything to what's going on at this point of time in our mind and in our thoughts and in our perceptions. So this is the first thing to just really stop and consider as soon as we start to notice any form of symptom, because we also tend to attribute black and white things to, well, that was just because of that. I took a flight, and so on that flight, everyone was coughing, and so I caught a cold. Simple. I ate some dodgy food in Bali, I got a parasite, or I got Bali belly. It was because of that. Simple. But in those instances, we're not considering, well, why did that happen at that time? Why did I have to get the flight at that time to have a cold at that time? Why did I need to allow a parasite and create a parasite to enter my body and welcome it in, invite it in at that exact time? What is that leading to? What chain of sequence of events is that leading to inside the body, which then affects me physically? Because, and this is another point to consider, that each time we are ill or have dis-ease in the body and experience any form of imbalance, it's a way of purging and cleansing something up and out of our body, because imbalance leads to change to bring the balance back. So it's all related and it's all relevant. Even the things that we think are just very black and white, 3D, someone sneezed on me, therefore I have a cough. Why did you choose to stand in the nearby vicinity of that person at that time to be able to welcome and create a virus? Because everything is energy. We can't say that everything's energy except when you get a common cold, because that's just black and white 3D common cold. The bacteria, the virus, whatever it is, it's energy. There's an energy behind it. Everything is energy. And so we are creating this energy in different various forms in the physical to enter our life. We're creating it in our reality for a reason. And illness and dis-ease is a way of the body bringing about change, purging, ending a cycle. And so this is all something to consider with our first question, which is, what's going on for me right now in my mind? And even if I have a black and white explanation for why I've just become sick or have dis-ease in the body, why? What was happening at that particular time? what energy am I moving into? What's happening in my life? What's in my environment? Which leads us on to the second consideration, which is what is in our environment? What is our environment at this point in time? So what's coming up at this time? Why have we chosen this environment? And how is this environment reflecting, as within, so without? How is it reflecting what is coming up from the depth of our subconscious to purge out through our cells? So when we think about our environment at this time, are we in our usual environment? Do we feel safe in that environment? Are we surrounded by people that light us up and lift us up? Or are we surrounding ourselves with people that we are feeling triggered by? Or we feel as if we're absorbing their negative energies or absorbing anything? What are we absorbing from the people in our field? Are we in an environment that is positive and blossoming when it comes to our work environment? Have we just started a new job, and how do we feel about the energy of the environment of that new place? It's important to consider, what am I surrounding myself with? Because again, everything is energy, and we are choosing certain environments, and we are choosing to perceive those environments in that way. So this works both ways. It's not a case of saying, I went into a disgusting place, or a place that was kind of run down or horrible and very negative, therefore I got sick. Because we also have to remember that everything on the outside is a hologram and is a projection from what's going on inside. So it's more a case of us picking a location, projecting our perception of whatever we're going through at that point in time outwardly, and therefore creating a reality on the outside of us, which we then call disgusting, run down, negative, not a nice environment, maybe a scary environment, a repressive environment. But we're creating that. Time and space is neutral, time and space is subjective, and it's a blank slate. Our environment is a blank canvas, which we throw the paint onto and then observe our environment. So we have to ask ourselves, why am I creating this environment outside of me at this time? Why have I chosen this location to project my thoughts and my feelings upon? Because we also have to consider that different locations around the world and different parts of the earth, think of everything that's held in those locations. Are there ancestral ties there? What has happened historically at that part of the earth? What about the alignment of that part of the earth with different solar influences or planetary alignments? How we have hotspots around the earth. Every single part of the earth is relevant, and we can think of visiting every part of the earth like focusing our attention on different parts of our body. The earth has a body like we do, and the earth has chakras like we do, and energy lines. And so maybe we're focusing on the liver chakra, the liver point of the earth, and what comes up for us there, and how is that then linked into our own liver potentially. And because we hold a lot of emotions, trauma, energy in different parts of our body. So we're always linked and reflecting with the earth. So when it comes to asking ourselves about our environment and where we are at the time, why have we chosen that location on the earth and then projected all of our whatever's coming up for us, which will be triggered by and linked into that particular location on the earth? Why have we chosen that to then what is coming up from the depths of our subconscious, from our past lives, from our potentially ancestry, to project out into that location, which is causing this uncomfortable, unpleasant environment around us? Does that make sense? It's a little bit trippy to wrap our heads around, our conscious mind around, but when we're tuned into higher perspective, it feels so relevant. And we realize that everything's linked and everything's connected. So we have a new take on, rather than blaming our environment for making us ill, why have we chosen that location? Why have we then projected and purged all of this energy onto our blank canvas to then witness life in this way at that time? So that's the next question. The next component to consider is, of course, what fuel are we putting into our vessel? Again, everything is energy. Food is energy, water is energy, drugs are energy, supplements are energy. If we put diesel in our petrol engine, we're going to be alerted. And our body is trying to do that for us. And it might just be that we need certain foods and drinks, beverages, supplements for a certain amount of time because we are activating something. We don't understand all of the different significances of what's happening underneath the surface when it comes to energy. So we don't understand all of the energetic cooperative components that go into a new chapter in our life unfolding, a lesson downloading and activating, codes of remembrance and soul fragments being recalled to us to remember deeper levels of who we are. We don't understand everything that's happening in the energy beneath what then manifests on the surface level. But fuels that we put into our physical vessel, they are all frequencies. So what if we're eating something that is a frequency that is feeding into, that matches an old energy, an old part of us? And so we are guided to refrain from that frequency for now, just temporarily, or for longer term, who knows? We also evolve away from foods. We evolve in and out of what we enjoy to eat and to drink. And that's because we are changing. And so we don't resonate with those frequencies anymore. So if we are guided to refrain from something or to introduce something new, it's because our body is needing that energy. So think about the processes that are going on inside the body. First of all, the physical body needs those components, the proteins, the carbohydrates, the fats, the amino acids, the specific particles, the minerals, and the nutrients. But what's underneath that is, of course, the energetic relevance. So that process is happening in the body, and the body is needing that for what it's doing. But what's underneath that will be another reason. What's happening with our energy? What processes are we shifting and changing on an energetic standpoint to be able to vibrate at a different frequency, for our cells to be able to communicate with source energy as they all are? We have something like 50 trillion cells. Or is it more, 500 trillion? It's a lot, trillions of cells, each of which have a unique and specific connection with its own consciousness, to consciousness. Each of our cells understands its role. And so the cells are needing to do their thing and they'll tell us what they need. But underneath that, there's an energetic relevance. How are our cells vibrating differently? And that's the reflection of who we are in our physical vessel. Our physical vessel is a reflection of our consciousness. It's a reflection of, and it's a accumulation, it's a collection of the lessons that we agreed to learn in this life, the cycles that we're going to go through in this life, the trauma that we've come to break and to transmute, the experiences that we're going to have. Our physical vessels are a result of that. The way that we're physically built, the color of our eyes and our hair, it's all relevant. And so our body is literally vibrating to express itself, and that's how the DNA is telling the cells how to express. That's based on the energy that we exude and that we are vibrating at. And so listen to the fuels that we're being guided to eat or to refrain from, to drink, to refrain from, because that's what the body needs on not just the surface level, but energetically. So we can tune into the energy of the foods that we've been guided to consume, the supplements that we've been guided to consume. Often as well, remembering that we are taking foods, if we're eating, hopefully not processed, man-made, crappy foods, but from the earth. That's what we were born onto this earth, and we have everything on this earth that we need to thrive. Every plant that we need has a solution to and a cure to every dis-ease in the body. And foods, of course, we're taking from the earth. So we're also taking the energy from the earth to say, I thank you, Mother Earth, you are going through this at the moment. I'm a reflection of you, and I'm going through this at the moment energetically. What vibrations and frequencies do I need? What codes do I need from the earth? So we're consuming the energy of the earth through the supplements, through the foods, through the beverages, through the water. So the next consideration is, what lesson, therefore, are we ready to integrate at this time? So talking to our symptoms and listening to our body gives us the information we need to transmute the energy and therefore cease the symptoms. If the symptoms are there to get our attention, the fastest way to ease them is to listen. So of course it's easy for us to panic and run to the doctor for a cure and just continue doing exactly what we were doing before the symptoms arose because we are creatures of comfort. But any dis-ease in the body is forcing change upon us. And so when we think about what lessons are we ready to integrate at this time, this is when it comes to tuning into the symptoms and asking, what are you trying to tell me? So where am I at imbalance and what needs to change? And those symptoms weren't there 10 years ago because we weren't ready for that lesson 10 years ago. They're here now because the body and the vessel is communicating with us now because we are ready now to integrate a certain lesson. And so I'll use myself as an example. I shared a post in my Facebook community maybe a few months back around when I started to suddenly notice some hair loss. And so of course I panicked. It's so easy to do that. And just to kind of run out and try and get all of the like just help ASAP, stop this. But when I was losing sleep at night because I kept waking up and having nightmares and checking that I still had hair on my head. Like it sent me into a massive panic. And I love my hair. I've got a big mane on my head and I love it. And so that was, my body chose something that was going to get my attention because I was ignoring other slight discomforts and inconveniences. But when it came to tuning into my hair to ask, what are you trying to get my attention for? I was guided that this is an opportunity to learn about the harmony of the earth with our physical vessel and to go into much deeper levels of understanding intuitive health. And that was really the start of this journey. And as soon as I had that conversation, I made a bargain with my body and I said, okay, stop with the hair loss, like no more hair to be lost from this point forward. And I will listen to everything that you're teaching me and everything that I'm supposed to listen to and to start integrating and implementing in my life. And from the very next day, the hair loss stopped. And so I started to listen, I started to integrate what I was being guided to learn about. And my body was trying to get my attention to go down some different roads of learning. That's all it was. But if I had ignored that and then just started slapping kind of band-aid solutions over the top and not getting to the lesson, it would just manifest in other ways. Because yes, we live in a physical world, and yes, we have physical things that there's the placebo effect. And that works the other way around. So if we believe that certain drugs will help and that they will suppress symptoms, they absolutely will. That's on the physical level. But if you suppress one thing, it's like that game where those little things, weevil things, pop out and you have to hit them on the head and then they pop out of another hole. That's what the symptoms will do. They'll manifest in another way if we just slap a band-aid solution and outsmart the body of how it's physically expressing in one way, it will come back to get our attention another way. So, and with this instance now of my liver and my gallbladder asking for some help, when I tuned in to listen and I was given a list of foods, a list of supplements to help, a list of practitioners and external help to seek, because yes, we have the intuitive ability to listen to what we need and to get to the bottom of things energetically, but we live in a system where an energetic network of awakened souls where we're all helping each other and we have codes for each other. So we're always going to manifest external help as well. We need help. We can't do everything ourselves. We don't want to wear all the hats because we live on a world with billions of people and we're all here to help share our gifts and share our frequencies. And that's what we're learning from. And when you think about how that tracks back up to source, we're all source. We're all the universe. So we are helping ourselves ultimately in the manifestational form of different healers, different practitioners. And so when I took the time to tune into this for myself and my physical conditions, I was guided to implement all sorts of different changes and considerations that were attributing to this discomfort, dis-ease, and imbalance in the body. And I was guided on how that was feeding into different aspects of my life where lessons are being brought forth, cycles are ending. I'm being forced to up level and to upgrade. I'm being forced out of my comfort zone constantly. That's my lesson. That's my design. That's my energetic makeup. I thrive outside of my comfort zone. So I'm always forced constantly outside of my comfort zone. That's my personal style and my journey. And it's easy to panic and, run out and just keep doing what we've been doing before. But to understand our vessel is to understand the self. And the physical body is giving us clues in every moment. It's a link between our life here on earth and our higher consciousness. And our cells remember things that we don't remember with our ego mind. And our DNA holds every piece of data that we have ever and will ever experience. So our body tells us things that we're unaware of. Now in picture the intuitive car, which remembers every road that it has ever driven down. That's what our body is helping us to remember. And our health is directly related to every area in our life. If we hold it in our mind, we hold it in our body. So let's try this now. Pick a theme, any theme in your life, and now imagine that you have some symptoms. We're not always programmed to assume that the two are related. Like we mentioned earlier, certain things we can attribute quite easily, but other things we don't assume that they're related at all. But when we become friends with our body, we start to realize that everything is connected. The subtle shift in the diet we're guided to change, the supplements that we're drawn to, the exercise we adopt, the environment that we choose. What if the energy of that one item of food was contributing to this old version of you, and that old version of you is trying to upgrade, but the old energy keeps being consumed and fed? So we need to scrap that frequency from our body temporarily, or for a longer term, who knows, whatever we're guided and we feel resonant with. Because I'm really not a believer in denying things that we really want because of certain rules or certain diets. I don't believe that there's one size fits all. And I believe that there are two different desires. There's sometimes the body will crave something because it's feeding. Let's say, for example, you've got a parasite, you're probably going to crave sugar. You've got a bacterial imbalance, or you eat a lot of dairy, the hormones and the bacteria from that dairy, they want to survive in the body. So you will fall into the cheese trap and most likely have a really strong addiction for dairy. But there's a deeper level. As with anything in life, we can ask ourselves, is this an ego desire or is this a true heart's desire? If we really truly tune into, does that feel good? Does it make me feel good afterwards? Does it make me feel uplifted? Does it make me feel like I have higher levels of energy? Does it make me feel aligned with my journey and aligned with my joy? Does it really make me feel joyful, or is it something that I'm stuck on a loop of creature of comfort, and I'm just eating those things because it's what I've always eaten to make myself feel better when I'm triggered? We know the difference between the two. We know by the way that we feel when we're eating it and after we've eaten it. And before we've eaten it, it's this kind of like this desperate need, and we can't stop thinking about it. It's obsessive, as opposed to being drawn towards something and then feeling aligned with that item of food, beverage, supplements, drugs, whatever it is. And so what if that particular exercise was causing a strain on a muscle group which you didn't even realize was contributing to symptoms? For example, I've had kind of a phantom pain in my lower right abdomen for a very long time, and none of the Western medicine methods of diagnosing something could tell me what it was. Everything, every scan that I had, every ultrasound, every MRI, everything that I had was, there's nothing there. There's nothing we can see for cause for concern. When I then went and saw one of my most beloved healers, physical healers in Bali, he was showing me that, and he can pick up on things before they actually manifest into the size of being picked up by Western equipment and doctor's equipment for a diagnosis. But he was telling me how it's crazy how everything's connected, but there was a postural imbalance on one side of my body. So the psoas muscle was being affected, which runs from the lower back through and all the way down to the groin, and it runs through the body. So it passes through several organs, important organs. And if that is strained in any way, that starts to put strain on the organs. And so we with our surface level mind, we start thinking, well, I'm eating healthily. What am I doing wrong? I'm exercising. I'm not like a lazy couch potato. I'm meditating. So what am I doing wrong? But it could be something like a simple postural change. And the way that we then hold our body, that then becomes body language. So body language is the way that we're sitting, the way that we twist, the way that maybe one of our legs is shorter than the other. And so we need this holistic approach. to understanding, how am I holding myself in my vessel? How is my vessel physically representing? Postural changes, something as simple as lifting the shoulders, then our body starts to exude more confidence because our shoulders are pushed back. And in my instance, the psoas muscle was being twisted because of a postural habit of mine where I always sit with my legs crossed and I twist them around like a spiral, and I twist to one side. That was shrinking the right side of my ovary. So my right ovary and the right side of my womb was being constricted and repressed. Well, what does that represent physically and energetically? The right side represents the masculine, the womb space, and the masculine was being repressed and trapped and squeezed. So our body will also take upon itself habits that represent what's going on energetically. All these tiny little things that we don't even begin to consider. So a case of straightening out the posture, considering the muscle groups as well that might be contributing to our symptoms, and then understanding why is that part of the body showing up as a problem area. Why is the left shoulder aching, or why do I always scrunch my shoulders on one side, or why any of our little habits that we do, why do I cross over, why do I always face to one side when I cross my legs, or when I sit down I have to have my legs a certain way, or why do I always place my hands there? All of these postural nuances are extremely significant because our body language teaches us about how we hold ourselves is how we are trying to stay safe, or it's a physical representation of what's going on energetically. So it's so important to build a holistic view of the right side of the body, the left side of the body, our masculine, our feminine, and then knowing that not only do the different parts of our body represent an energetic relevance, so the different organs will represent different relevances. And one book that I think is just absolutely amazing for opening the mind to this is Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life. The work that she did is incredible in understanding the reflective nature of different symptoms and dis-ease in the body, as linking to, in all of the thousands and tens of thousands of, I don't know how many people she would have worked with over the years, of these patterns she started to notice of how those physical symptoms align and link with different patterns in our thinking and the energetic relevance behind that. So to build this holistic view of how our body is sitting, and not only the way that those different parts of the body link to energetic relevance in our thoughts, but how that links and aligns with the earth. And what I'm being shown now is actually three aspects: the earth and the earth's body, and the earth's blood, the water that runs across the oceans and the rivers and the streams, the blood vessels and the capillaries of the earth, the different organs of the earth as different parts of the earth in forms of mountains, volcanoes, natural elements of the earth, the chakras of the earth, the ley lines of the earth, the energy lines that run across the earth as the meridians of the earth, how that is reflected in us as a physical extension of the earth, and how different foods and nutrients that we consume from the earth also relate to those different parts of our body. So, there are many studies that show and theories that show that foods that look like certain parts of our body help that part of our body. So a walnut looks like the brain, the walnut helps the mind. Carrots, if you slice them, look like an eye. Carrots help our eyesight. So there's all these links between, first of all, the physical earth and her body, knowing that we are an extension of that. Where are we on the earth? What are we connecting into? There would be no surprise if we were connecting into perhaps the the liver point of the earth, or the heart of the earth, and what comes up for us in that point, or different meridians of the earth, the blood of the earth, if we are out in the water, and therefore the water is representing emotions, and the emotions that we carry in our blood, how all of that is linked, and then which foods and what elements we're choosing to consume as being very relevant to different parts of our body also. So I've just shown that link as well as how it's all connected. So yeah, going back to thinking about, what if that one item of food was affecting an energetic relevance that you don't understand? What if that particular exercise is affecting the way you hold your body? Might not be the best thing for you. We think not all forms of exercise are good for us at that time. We have to listen to our body. It's not a good idea to be lifting weights if you've got tightness in the muscles and your posture is off. It's just going to cause even more discomfort. Maybe yin yoga would be better, but then our ego mind gets in the way and says, yin yoga isn't active enough for me. I need to lose weight. I'm not actually exercising or burning any energy off if I'm just doing something gentle like that. But we have to listen to what our body needs at this point in time. What if the people you are surrounding yourself with were bringing entities and negative energy into your field, and you're absorbing that because you have a hole in your aura? We don't know, and we don't consider all of these different aspects when it comes to health. We just say, well, I'm eating healthy foods. I'm eating fruits and vegetables. What if those fruits and vegetables are literally being injected with pesticides, sprayed with pesticides, and injected with, what's the word I'm looking for? Preservatives. Some of the supermarkets, I was watching a documentary once about the farming industry, and some of the supermarkets hold their fruit and veg for up to 6 months before they hit the shelves. What is going into that fruit and vegetable to make it last that long? Things that are sitting on the shelf for, that have a shelf life of months. What is going into that to be able to allow something to stay alive for that long? Think about the frequency of the natural frequency of earth, fruits and vegetables that are grown from the earth in the garden. Do they last for months? They have a cycle, they have a natural cycle, and we have to take advantage of those frequencies when they reach certain peaks or heights. That's, when the fruit is at its most vibrant, if we consume it then, we're consuming the most vibrant energy of that fruit or that vegetable. So we have to consider these different aspects, that everything is connected. And even when it comes to things like now, what's coming through is toiletries. So what if the toiletries that you use are containing chemicals which are accruing in the organ where the energy of an old trauma is lodged in that very same organ, and they're matching frequencies of the toxicity of this chemical, and the lower frequency of this old trauma is keeping the trauma stuck in your organ, keeping the story stuck in your system. So you may be trying to flush out, and you may be trying to change energetically with your mind this trauma and shift it, but nothing's working, because on a physical level, we oftentimes abandon the physical body. And on a physical level, this trauma is being held in the organ where there is a potentially, breeding grounds for parasites, breeding ground for chemicals and toxins, which are building up in that energy, in that organ. And we need to flush those toxins out of our body as we flush it out of our mind. This is why we do detoxes for a mental flush. This is why we do detoxes to cleanse and end certain phases in our life. Because as within, so without, and we have to consider the physical component, but we keep the two separate. We think we can shift everything in our mind and that's all we need, but we need to incorporate the physical body as well. That's what I've been starting to learn since the hair loss incident, which stopped as soon as I promised that I would listen. And now I'm incorporating this into what does my body want this week? What does my body want today? What does my body want at this time? And who cares what time of day that is? If that's when your body wants that thing, something's happening energetically in your body that is asking for you to consume something at that time. Being back home with my family is more challenging because, well, not challenging, that's an exaggeration, but I have to operate outside of the box and really try not to slip into what the collective is doing habitually, because my family eat their breakfast at a certain time, eat their lunch at a certain time, eat their dinner at a certain time. They eat later than I do. They have X amount of meals per day, whereas I generally skip breakfast and my body starts asking for food around midday. We have to listen and stay true to, let's say, for example, you work in an office where everyone eats at the same time, or you go for lunch and everyone's having this particular food, but you don't want that particular food. It becomes difficult when we fall into the collective to stay true to what our body is asking for. And it becomes extra difficult when we have to shop in supermarkets and everything is laden with preservatives and chemicals and seed oils. And not saying what's right or wrong, because I also wholeheartedly believe and receive from a higher perspective that the frequency of something that we are consuming also depends upon our belief upon it. So my grandparents lived until the ripe old age of their very late 90s and died of old age. And they used to eat things that many people would say that's going to cause heart disease. That's bad for you. And my nan would always say to me, I don't believe that. I believe that this is okay. So it will be okay. And her power of her mind was strong enough for that. That was her journey. But that's her journey, her body, her physical aspects. Others of us, we don't resonate with that. So again, each to their own. But yeah, thinking about the things that we put on our physical body as well, what chemicals are in there, and is that what our body's asking for? Is it clean? Is it high frequency or is it lower frequency? And would we ever attribute or link a body lotion being related to our income level, or breakfast of choice being related to our ability to attract a soul partner, or the amount of sleep that we decide to get one week affecting our lovability? But it is all connected. And when we see this holistic view and we understand that our vessel is a physical manifestation of our energetic frequency and our set point, our vibrational frequency at that point in time, and our collective concoction of energy that makes us us in this earth. The reason that we're able to physically exist in this earth is due to our DNA, of course, telling our cells how to express themselves. And what is held in that DNA? You know, what is our exact energetic makeup? What are all the stories that we're holding in our energy? What are all of the frequencies that we are exuding? That is what's making up our physical vessel. And so we can't disconnect our physical vessel from our soul, our spirit, our mind, our consciousness, because it's a direct manifestation of that. And it's a direct manifestation and extension of the earth. So we can't discount the earth from being connected to us. When we start seeing that everything is connected, it could be overwhelming to begin with. But once you see that it's all connected, it actually becomes so much easier, and we can be much more in flow, and we can bless the food that we're consuming and the drinks that we're consuming. We can tune into the energy of that and understand what is needed for our body at that time and what our body is asking for. And not just because of a physical process that the body is wanting energy or carbohydrates or proteins to build muscle, not just because of those physical aspects, but because we are learning a certain lesson that week. And so these foods are needed. Or we are cleansing and ending a cycle. And so this supportive supplements and foods and beverages are needed. So it actually becomes easier once we've gotten past the overwhelm. So yeah, the foods that we eat, the drugs we consume, the environments we choose, the products we use, the thoughts that we entertain when we look in the mirror, the way we see our body, the materials that we wear, the way we move our body, it's all energy, and it's contributing to the only way that we're physically able to exist in this life, our body. So how do we live more harmoniously with our body? We start listening. Upon any first signs of slight disruption, inconvenience, symptoms, we tune into that and we ask. And not only can we tune into our physical symptoms to ask that part of the body, you know, wherever we're experiencing something, we can tune into that part of the body and we can ask the symptoms to come out of our body. This is what I like to do, and personify itself, or show itself in some way, to show a physical representation of what that symptom is, and then talk to me. So sometimes it comes out of my body and kind of tumbles out as a person. Sometimes it comes out as an animal. Sometimes it just comes out as energy, like a swarm of energy. Sometimes it comes out as other dimensional beings to talk to me. And when we see our symptoms represented in this way, and we can talk to that being, that object, that whatever it is, animal, that person, energy, then we can have a conversation, and we're having a conversation with our body. We could even have literally a conversation with our organs and our cells. Another practice that I used to just absolutely swear by was tuning into wherever the discomfort or disease or pain was, and tuning way down through a magnifying glass into the cell levels, and ask the cells. You know, I was struggling with my skin was really just like getting really blemishy and unhappy and dry, and maybe it was last summer, and I tuned in to the skin cells. I dug right down deep, and then I could see that they were like troops calling for supplies. They were like yelling at me to try and they were yelling at me. And so all of these little expressions of kind of anger or help to try and get my attention were manifesting through blemishes. And when I tuned into us, they were asking for zinc. They were asking me to eat a navel orange for the vitamin C at particular times of the day. They gave me some other supplements and a shopping list to get. And this is something that we're able to develop when we increase our intuition. So increasing our intuition, of course, we use it across all aspects of our life, but the ability to tune into the body and ask, what are you trying to tell me? It will first of all give you some physical aspects of what the body is asking for. So it will tell you what to stop eating temporarily or longer term, for however long. It will tell you what it would like to consume and what it needs, so that you can go out and grab some of that and maybe some supplements as well. It will tell you, sleep patterns and how your sleep is affecting, like what it would like in terms of sleep. And I mean, it's pretty easy just to listen to when we're tired, right? Even if we're tired throughout the day, we nap when our body's asking to nap, if we can, and if we're in a position to do that. But beyond the physical shopping list that we're given, or things to adjust or to change, we can start also muscle testing with our food. So when we think we've received an answer to say, okay, I think my body's asking me for fruit at this time, or particular vegetables, warm, cold, and anything in between, exactly what it's asking for, we can then double check by muscle testing with our body and saying, do you want this right now? Like, body, hold the frequency of this. Do you want me to consume this frequency into my physical body, which is going to then enter my bloodstream, my cells, my organs, my bones? So we can double check that way. And then beyond the physical requirements, we can then ask, emotionally, what changes am I ready to embody? What is going on for me at this time? Am I causing a distress in my body because I'm stressing about something, or I'm worrying about something, or I'm sad or angry? Do I need to forgive someone? And where is that energy held in my body? We can also tune into, where are those emotions stored? And for me personally, whenever I get sick, I cry so much. I hate feeling sick, and I hate feeling pain and disease in the body. And discomfort. So I cry. So the other night I just had a big cry because my stomach, I couldn't find a comfortable position. It was hurting so much all the way around to my back, and nothing was easing it. So I had a massive cry. And it, of course, started to soothe and ease, because I was letting all of that energy out, and I was releasing these emotions from my liver, where we hold a lot of emotions. So the organs will get our attention as well if there's energy that it's wanting us to cleanse out. How do we cleanse that energy out of our organs? Physically cleanse, of course, through detoxes, juice cleanses, whatever our body is asking for. Maybe certain supplements that cleanse things out, like an actual detox, or like herbs, alkaline herbs. And then, of course, we physically purge those emotions out through energetic work. So whatever that looks like for us, maybe dragon's breath and breath work, maybe crying to literally get that energy out of our tears, maybe movement of our body. So how are we physically moving and getting that energy and cleansing and purging it out of our body? And what was the next thing I was going to say? Something started coming through, so I got distracted. As I'm just going to say, to not bring the first thing through until I finish this point. To cleanse and purge. So yeah, how our body will tell us, well, this is what you're needing, and this is where you're holding in certain parts of the body, and this is what needs to come out. And then past the physical aspect of it, we will then consider the thoughts. So the perceptions and the emotional side of things, what am I thinking? What beliefs need to shift and change? Because those beliefs are energy, and those beliefs are held not only in our cerebral mind, but in different parts of the body. And so when we start adopting this, we can then, this is what was just coming through to remind me to share that, to consider when it comes to our environment as well, to consider things like sound. So sound healing, to consider different aspects of sound healing. And we can use our sound, and this is a whole other podcast, an episode, but this is something I'm learning on much deeper levels, that we can use our sound and sound frequencies that ripple through our body, through the sound that we make. Our throat chakra is our alchemical sound center, our ability to express sound. And sound is an aspect of healing and activation, of course, and miracles and magic. So we can use, to be very conscious, of course, of the words that we're speaking and the energy behind those words. But we can channel light language. And again, that's another episode. But for me, I started to channel some light language and some sounds and some frequencies. Even if you just hum, what frequency does your body want to be able to recalibrate that energy that is causing discomfort or dis-ease? So you can just channel you can channel your own sounds, or you could listen to music and allow that frequency to channel through your body and ripple through and shift and recalibrate parts of the body. Or you could receive sound healing. So when sound bowls are literally placed on the body, or the gongs and the little metal things that I forget the name, this on the string that cling together, and you can we put the crystal healing on our body, and then we have the sounds to realign different chakras in the body and different meridians and organ points. So sound healing is a huge consideration as well, to listen to our body. And then environmental changes, of course, if we feel like we're drawn to be in water or near the water, or we might be guided to bathe in a bath with the Epsom salts to draw some energy out, or zeolite or clay to just draw some of those toxins out, or sweat it out in a sauna, or just be outside in nature, not forgetting the importance of placing our bare earth on the ground and allowing that electrical current that is stuck because it's just racing around from head to toe to actually soak out, and the ions in the earth shift the ions in our body, and the charge is able to then release into the earth. So there are so many different things we can talk about when it comes to energetic healing, acupuncture, Reiki, physical massage, shamanic body work, chanting, moving our body, using sound, visual healing of what we choose to then look upon and to visualize in our mind's eye, visualizations, among many, many more. And that's each their own in that regard. Whatever we feel drawn to is right for us. But what this comes down to, and the kind of the main point that anchors this entire channeled message together, is to understand the relevance of our physical body and how it's the only way we're able to exist in this lifetime. Without the physical body, our soul is then back to the ethers. Our soul is existing in the other dimensions, but it's not existing in the physical unless it's in a physical vessel. And so then we're in our non-physical, in the fourth dimension, we have our spirit essence there. But to exist in the physical, we need this physical body. And so it's our anchor to the earth and to the higher realms. And the reason that it's our anchor to the earth and the higher realms is it's our vessel to be able to anchor higher frequencies from higher realms into the physical earth. When we are in a physical body, we are the eyes and the ears. We are the voice of the angels, the ascended masters, the galactic beings, higher perspective, source. And it's a way to bring that energy and anchor it onto the earth. And that brings us back full circle to the beginning of this conversation, which is that is why we came. We came here to anchor and to bring different frequencies. And we do that through the lessons, through talking to our body, through the emotional shifts and transmutations, through the energetic shifts and transmutations in our body, and through physically being aware of how our body is a physical representation of our energy. And so now we form a much deeper relationship with our body to know, well, first of all, it's part of the earth. So what does the earth need, and what do I need from the earth? So those two things, that's circular. What do I need from the earth, and what does the earth need from me at this time? Because I'm joined. I agreed to incarnate as part of Mother Earth, and we are together in this. And what do I need from my emotional healing? What do I need from my spiritual evolution and my soul's, my conscious evolution? But one without the other is neglecting, and one without the other is a non-holistic and an incomplete embodiment of what we came here to do. So we start listening to the body. We start talking to it as our friend and connecting it to the higher realms and our higher consciousness, bringing that down into the body and asking how, and consciously integrating those shifts and those changes into the body, as well as aligning our every action in terms of what we're consuming, what we're doing, how we're moving in the physical, and then aligning that into the earth and understanding how that is linked to the earth. So maybe the earth is hit by a few solar flares and we feel off for a week. Maybe we are experiencing rapid ascension through an astrological event like Lionsgate with huge up leveling, or full moon or a new moon. And so we start to feel it in our body. We feel tired, we feel fatigued. The physical body needs time to catch up to the energetic. And so we need to consider this in our holistic approach to health. And so I feel like I've covered quite a lot of ground in this conversation, and I've also spoken very quickly. So thank you for catching up with me. I do speak quickly when the energies are racing through me, because my energy is fast and my speed of transmutation is fast. I work fast. So I'll take a breath and just ask if there's anything else to consider or to talk about. It feels complete. Yeah, this feels very complete. So Oh, and I did just forget to mention that my symptoms, they'd shifted within 2 days. So the first day I just kind of experienced it and I was too overwhelmed to tune in. So I just cried and let everything be felt that needed to be felt. By day two, when I took the time to tune in again and start taking action on everything I was guided to do, changing the foods, getting the supplements and start taking them, and then booking in with all of these different practitioners, the symptoms started to ease, and now they're much more manageable. I'm not in any pain today, actually. And so by the time I got to the acupuncturist yesterday, it was much better, but I still needed, I knew that I still needed to move some of that chi and the stagnation in my liver points, in my liver chi, around the body. So it's the implications of the changes that we make run past the physical symptoms. The symptoms are there to get our attention. Once we start listening, the symptoms can ease. But once the symptoms ease, that doesn't mean, okay, great, start eating all the fried foods again and just back to normal. It means continue on with the guidance you were given, but you don't need to suffer whilst you're implementing the guidance. So the symptoms are simply there to get our attention, to listen to. The actions that we're guided to take, they go on longer as and when that's guided. And the symptoms will only arise in the first place if we're not listening to our body. But if we make it part of our daily practice to tune into our body and be more intuitive with the foods that we're choosing to eat and everything, that all of our choices, our exercise and everything we've already discussed, it doesn't need to get to the point where we have the dramatic symptoms. So yeah, I hope that helps. It's a topic that everyone needs help with. And I myself, when I received these messages yesterday and even today, the depth of some of those deeper points that just came through really reminds me of the importance of it, and makes me realize how much I neglect it sometimes when we just slip into life as usual and the easy option. Maybe you're traveling, maybe you're working in an office, you grab the easiest thing to eat because you're on a time frame, you shove it in when you have the time to eat. We're not listening to our bodies. And even things like the lighting in offices where it's artificial light and our body wants natural light, we really have to consider how we can be more in flow, more in alignment with what our body wants as often as we possibly can, to really start to consider that more. And hopefully today has busted the perception and the illusion that we are separate from our body and that we are separate from the earth. So I will wrap this up there. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to find out more about the transformative work that I do in activating awakened souls to remember the power of who they are and to be able to channel their own higher perspective and multi-dimensional frequencies and all of the juicy, amazing soul remembrance, then you can feel free to head to my website, and all the details are in the description. And there's also information there around my offering to the world, which is evolving and is a staple or a standpoint of what I'm guided to offer for awakened souls, which is the Awakened Soul Ascension Academy. It's a 16-week online journey and it's self-paced. So you have my support through the form of lives, but it's all held within and hosted within a membership portal so that you can do the activations and the healings yourself, at your own pace, at your own time. So again, just tuning into this, do your thing, do it in your environment. I love to listen to activations in the bathtub, for example. Like, you can do it wherever you feel drawn to, whenever you feel drawn, on your terms. And then you have my support alongside as well. So if you're drawn to that journey, there's details about it on the website, details in the description below. And come and join our beautiful, supportive, amazing, powerful community of powerful souls, awakened souls, inside my private Facebook community, where we have the opportunity to share and channeled messages and support each other. There's session swaps available there, and we can all just share our unique perspectives, which is our power. And that's how I believe we are stronger together. If I had a slogan, it would be stronger together. That's what I truly believe. So all the details are in the description here. Thank you for being here, and I will see you on the next episode.